Now, this is to Truthbtold7, 12 questions of Eastern Orthodoxy. And I was going through, I actually kind of started midway through at 7, just so I got a grasp of it. But I got to question 11, and I ran out of paper. I ran out of space on the paper I was writing these down on, and had to start writing it at the top. And then I stopped. I believe it's probably, you said most of 11. So I'm going to address that right now, because I think there's some things in here that kind of jump out at me. I feel like almost putting this into these things into different categories, ranging from but not limited to. That's a good question, and I wonder about that too, or maybe there's an answer, but I don't know. They stumped me to. Well, that answer is definitely is out there and is readily available to the Orthodox. Don't believe that. So I don't mean to chuckle like that. That's not a chuckle. I just was worried it might sound like it. So let me go through that. If that confuses you, I hope it doesn't, but I'm going to go through and clarify. Where is the evidence for the first Christians praying to saints? Well, we have it in the Maccabean period, people praying to saints, and it's in the Apocalypse of John, and we have people praying for others. This is very early on, people praying for the dead. I mean, another thing that troubles me is the sources that you're using. Did you read all these, or are you getting these questions from a site? Either way, it's kind of concerning because of where these are coming from, but also the fact that many scholars, I mean, almost all the secular scholars, especially people like Milton and the late Marvin Myers and John Dominic Carson and Bart Ehrman will accept that prayer to saints was extremely early. It almost, evidence of it is immediately after Ignatius of Antioch. Icons are actually in the Bible, in the New Testament, supported by the New Testament, supported by the Old Testament, and supported by archaeology. Incense, well, they used incense and whatever, and it's a metaphor too. Adherence to non-apostolic traditions, you're going to have to elaborate that on me. The office of priesthood, there is no office of priesthood. It's the presbyter, and there is a universal priesthood. The infant girl that was baptized last Sunday is a priest in the church, a priest in the male sense. Every baptized Orthodox Christian is a priest. This is explicitly taught by the Eastern Orthodox Church. I'll jump off. I'm going to go non-linear here. The Eucharist is literal body and blood of Christ. The Bible, this is my body and blood, taking that at face value. Tertullian calls it a symbol and the actual body and blood of Christ. The early Christians called it the actual body and blood of Christ, and people actually his followers actually, I think like half of them, turned and walked away because they knew exactly what he meant, and it was never taught as just a symbol. Yes, it's a symbol, and yes, it is the body and blood of Christ. I don't think we ever say it's the literal body and blood of Christ. That's more of a Catholic thing. 7 sacraments, we don't have 7 sacraments. Sacraments, my handwriting's bad, channels of grace. Again, we don't have sacraments, we have holy mysteries, because there's either one sacrament, no sacraments, or an infinity amount of sacraments. Infant baptism, that surprised me, because that's right in the New Testament, and it's in the Didache, and it's in every early work. Justification, oh no, I'll get to that, but number 9 is not a problem, because, yeah, and if you read Barnabas or Polycarp or Paul, yeah, justification is a legal term. There's no dispute that. Calling bishops your grace is just a matter of respect. The Jesus prayer is straight out of Mark. Prayer of the heart is, we're told to do the prayer of the heart by St. Paul. Monasticism, it's celibacy and asceticism in the first century. Monasticism did not get sanctioned until Anthony the Great. but there were loners. Monastic vows, yeah, you're right about that one. Monastic vows. What the hell's up with that one? I agree. But if it's a promise to one another, like people like Chrysanthus and Daria, you could say they were monastics that took monastic vows, but there was no overarching structure. Apophatic theology. Apophatic theology, the fact that God is only referred to as love, and everything else is in relationship, and love, it cannot be understood or even accurately described out of context. So yeah, it's always been there. Unknowable, unthinkable, unseeable. The most, even saying like the Most High or Almighty is apophatic. Theosis, the transfiguration, that we will all be transfigured. That's in the Bible. Mysticism, Paul was the biggest mystic, and we have the Eucharist and baptism and things like that. The Assumption of Mary, right on. People say, well, it was held in oral tradition until the 5th century. But, yeah, I don't know. One thing that Mary higher than the cherubims or the seraphims, again, a title of honor. Regular confession to a priest. Confess your sins to one another, like James said. And, again, that developed to confessing in front of the entire church, and then the priest being a stand-in for the church. But the priest is not a priest in the Old Testament sense or the New Testament sense. He's a presbyter, and there's the priesthood of all believers. Sex is a result of the fall. No Eastern Orthodox Christian believes that, except maybe some crazy monks. Sex is not a result of the fall. That's a Catholic view. The fasts, Monday and Wednesday, the Didache, it's a 1st century document. It says we don't hold the fast days of the hypocrites, the Jews, he's saying, the killers of Christ. It is changed to from Thursday and Tuesday to Monday and Wednesday. Or I think it says Wednesday and Friday, but anyways, Wednesday's in there, definitely. Platonism, there is no Platonism in Eastern Orthodoxy. Well, you could say there's Platonic terms, but terminology, because that was the area that it was born out of, but Arianism is the Neoplatonists, and the Filioquite is Neoplatonistic. I hope this answered some of them for you, but it concerns me when you say infant baptism, 7 sacraments, sex as a result of the fall. These things aren't Orthodox, but then infant baptism, icons, the fasts. Have you read the Church Fathers? And it seems like you'll put a lot of weight on certain things that the Church Fathers might have said where they're out of consensus with most people. But then where they say things, I mean, this is why I'm concerned where you're getting your information and how you're getting it. Because you used Encyclopedia Britannica for something earlier on, and it worries me. Please get back to me on this. Peace to you.